The Airline Understanding and Adopting NDC course is a 3.5-day program. We've given it several times now. It really is intended largely for airline people, but also others who want to understand the airline perspective of NDC. Whether you want to know how to implement it from a viewpoint of technology, commercially, whether you're a distribution person, this is going to cover the whole width of things, from what is the point of NDC, how did it come about, who's involved in using it, what are the perspectives of airlines, of travel agents, whether they're OTAs or travel management companies, the role of aggregators and system providers in supporting airlines in using NDC. So it's a broad program covering everything about NDC at the depth of the standards up to really what is the business case for an airline to implement NDC. So this time we've got 5 airlines, all of whom are very close to wanting to introduce NDC, and they're bringing a team of people, commercial and IT, and it's usually 2 people, could be 3 people, and they're wanting to learn the width of what NDC is about. They also enjoy interacting with one another. We talk about different approaches, what can work, what doesn't work, some of the challenges, things that face an airline as they go forward with that. And also it's quite interesting having a couple of suppliers with us. So for instance, we have ATPco with us this time, and it's interesting to ask them about what they are currently doing by way of offering products to airlines to support them in their NDC implementation. But the course is for people interested in NDC with a good airline background and who want to understand at a wide level what NDC really is all about and how they could go about implementation. I think the IT side, for instance, without going into too much depth, we have introduced the NDC XML schema. One person told me they went back from the course last night and they downloaded the NDC schema and started programming to use it. I was frankly a bit surprised he got so far in one evening. Somebody else tells me they're more interested from an IT perspective of how should I be setting about contracts with my different vendors around my commercial systems. What do I need to watch out for? How do we make sure we've got long-term solutions? Whereas the commercial people are thinking about, well, what products would I offer? How would I have to change my products in my airline to optimize use of NDC as we get to a richer channel to provide product to travel agents? So it really does depend upon who you are. You need to have a general sort of interest because IATA does have 2 other courses which are just a little bit more specialized. So for instance, for the IT people, there is Understanding NDC Architecture. It's just a 2-day course. It has more about the NDC schema, the way in which the future versions of the schema are expected to evolve. So it's more appropriate for more hands-on people. But it's certainly not intended just for developers. It's intended for IT managers to appreciate how the architecture of those systems will evolve. The other course is called NDC Readiness, and it's intended for program managers who are going to be responsible for implementation, how to go about building the team that are going to implement NDC in an airline, what they have to watch out for, what their objectives should be. So it doesn't cover the depths of the schema, it doesn't cover the bets of the airline benefits, but it is about making sure you cover people in your airline to make sure they are involved, to make sure you know what's important, and to have a timely project to implement NDC for yourselves.